Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Tuong, the weekly quarantine show where I get to talk to my friends near and far about things that really don't matter, things like movies, video games, comic books. We've actually never done a comic book. I keep saying comic books every week, and we've yet to do one. But this time, we're not doing a movie. We're doing the second thing I mentioned, and I'll tease it out later. Maybe you got it from my intro, my poor video game impression, but the king of impressions is way across from me on the other end of the internet. We have Doug MacKendrick, everyone.
Hello. I don't know if you could say I'm king of impressions. I've done a Yoshi impression once on your other podcast. That was
yes,
it.
That's right. And that's why you're here today, is because that's what we want right now. Your Yoshi impression. Go.
Oh
shit! That's so much better. Yes, I remember.
Is that better than you thought it would be?
Oh my god, it's not even better than I thought it was, because I've definitely heard it before and being equally as surprised the first time you did it. But it's been a while, so damn, that's good. Way better than my Mario impression off the top. Probably because Mario never says Tungio, so that's step one. Doug, people don't know your voice. Some people don't know your voice. It's a crime, I know. You've been on a few podcasts in the past in the PodCavern, but never on Talking Tuong. So do you want to tell the people who you are?
Yeah, no, there's probably a reason why people don't know my voice. For good reason. It's not a good voice.
Disagree.
I mean, you went through the list of things that you talk about, and it's like, okay, I do 2 out of those things, and those are all the things that I do. It's like I watch movies, I play video games, and I like hockey. I usually play hockey, but can't and haven't in the last year. So now I'm just gaining a lot of weight.
Hey, you know what?
That's
okay.
My life. That's my life in the last year and a half.
You look good.
That's because you can only see my face and top of my chest. You don't see the waist.
Well, the top half above your waist, you look great. You look like you haven't missed a beat, still working out hard. No, shaking your head. That's okay. You look like a hockey player, probably because you're wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs sweater right now.
Yes, and a beard and those are the only things you need to play hockey.
Yeah. Doug, we're still living these times. We are seeing a slight end of the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not quite there yet. So, you're still kicking around. You're still a upbeat, positive guy. That's why you're on the show. But what keeps you happy during the pandemic?
I just want to say, I love how you say kicking around still, as if, obviously there's some people going through stuff, but you pulled me on this show and you're like, oh, glad you're still here, Doug. It's thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad I'm
welcome.
here too.
Yeah.
No, the stuff that's keeping me going is the people. I mean, over the last year, the number of games and people, I've never been one to connect with people over virtual, whether it's Discord or just hopping on different video games, meeting people through that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it kind of changed in the last year. And the number of new people I've actually met who I haven't really met in person, but just playing games on Zoom and playing Among Us and playing all these, introduced to new games too, has been pretty crazy for me because I just never really got into it. So that's honestly been a big thing, is that in the times where you don't have the normal social interactions and I'm an extrovert. I really am missing going to just going out after work or something for a drink or
mm-hmm.
hanging out with people. And so this is that's my avenue to do that. And
mm-hmm.
that's what's been, it keeps me positive, keeps me going, is being able to hop on those games and hop on a Zoom call with 10 people and play Among Us.
Yeah. I want to unpack that a little bit because yes, knowing you are an extrovert. Now I'm not going to reveal where we work, but we work together and you're the type of person who goes and sees everybody and has nice conversations, tries to make friends to avoid doing work. Yeah. I've never actually seen you do work, which is actually really weird. You boss people around, but you don't actually I never see you on the computer. It's weird. But Doug, do you find, and of course it's not the same, but I want to hear it from you, you're interacting with people because you're an extrovert and you're reaching out to people through Zoom, through online. And does it hit the same notes for you, or is it wildly different?
Oh, it definitely doesn't. It's the best you can get right now is what it comes down to. I mean, especially in the winter weather where no matter what, when people are like, oh, let's hang out in the backyard, you're not going to do it in the winter because it's just way too cold, like half an hour. So it's like that's literally the closest you can get is on the Zoom call, but you get the Zoom fatigue, all that stuff. Like it's very real, especially after like a full day. So it's the best I can get right now. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
Sound like Michelle, best I can get right now.
And I want to talk about Among Us too, because that's a really big one that we're not talking about that today. So maybe that's
what I took notes for.
Talked about.
That's what I took notes. Oh
no. But Among Us specifically, that's a game that you've basically initiated in such a way that you're getting many people from all over the place, not just people from work, not just your friends, people you don't even know, and getting them into this game of 10 people, right?
Yeah.
And that's been like a weekly thing for a while now.
Yeah. Basically, when all the hype came up and I was watching some of the videos, it's like, oh, I probably got to get into this game. Like, this feels right up my alley. Tried it a few times, got a few close friends into it, figured some people at work were into it. And then, yeah, it just exploded into, now that it's been out for a while, there's a bit of burnout, I think, happening. But
sure.
But yeah, the fact is, I could probably on a Thursday night get 10 to 12 people committed to playing for at least a couple of hours and start yelling at each other and yeah, weekly games. So it's fun to just have that regular cadence of something going on, and also just seeing, like, because you don't have to do it over Zoom. But obviously that adds it's quicker, it's easier, and you get to you everybody, or at least see the faces. But it's like the fact of just seeing 10 new faces week over week is quite nice.
So you're fine with lying to strangers over a Zoom call?
I'm fine lying to anybody. It's for the greater good.
Of course, yeah. You got to sharpen those skills somewhere, right? So
yeah,
that's really cool. I always appreciate, because you always invite me, and I think I've shown up twice.
You never come.
I've shown up twice because I'm afraid of it. Everyone knows how to play now. Everyone has their own meta in Among Us, which is a weird thing to say. And people know the map better. And then when I first started playing, everyone just assumed I knew how to play right off the top. So they're like, Tuong's planning something. I'm like, I don't even know the controls. So I think last time I played, I died right away every time. I'm like, well, this is fun.
Well, it's the fact that you are in the gaming world, and it's arguably, it's obviously lost some hype, but in its peaks, it was one of the, if not the most talked about game for easily like a couple of weeks to a month in the last year.
Months. Maybe still now. So right?
In my mind, I don't understand how you haven't played it before.
Well, here's the thing. I've never played some of the most popular games out there. I've never played Fortnite in my life, never played Minecraft in my life. Those are just games that I know from a distance, and Among Us was one of those.
And yet you do podcasts about gaming.
Yeah, like real games. Real games.
Wow. Okay, no, that's how you really support the gaming community.
That's
Fortnite's not a real game.
No, that's a real game. I just don't play it because I'm scared, and I hate being beaten by children, which happens all the time. Among Us is 15th right now on top Twitch, games that I'm looking at right now. Yeah. So that's interesting because it used to be on the very top. Yeah. Now it's like your classics like Minecraft and Fortnite. Those never leave. And then Grand Theft Auto 5, which still is always up there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did did they do an update to PS5 recently? Like, it's always up there, but I feel like they did something recently as well. I can't remember if it was specific to PS5, but it always seems to come in loops or of interest.
It's just a nonstop money-making machine with that game. But anyways, we're not talking about those games today. We're first going to talk about the news of the week. And of course, every week, I just go to IGN.com, click on the news button, and that's all the work that I do. I basically am going to read out some news headlines for Doug and I to talk about. And we'll just see where the conversation brings us. So first things first is that Pepe Le Pew, from Space Jam, from the Looney Tunes, the skunk.
Is it I was going to say the skunk. Is it the skunk that hits on the cat, or the cat that hits on the skunk?
I think it's the skunk that hits on the cat, or the skunk hits on everyone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm only bringing this up because the headline is Pepe Le Pew will not make an appearance in Space Jam 2 after his scene was cut, which is every week people know that I freaking love Space Jam. It's like my favorite movie of all time for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Does this news break my heart? No, but here's the reason why it's cut. The cut is essentially, well, I'm not sure why it's cut, but people are upset that it's cut because the actress, and I'm gonna get their name wrong here. I'm just scrolling through. Santo Grace. Essentially, the scene is that like Pepe Le Pew is hitting on her at like a bar or something like that, and being kind of gross, and she gets to slap this cartoon character across the face. But they're upset, and probably rightfully so, I think, because the whole scene is like showing that it's wrong for males to come off predatory to females. And even if you do it through this Space Jam movie, she thought the scene was really good for people to see that you can't just do that, which I think is pretty cool.
Is that why they cut it though? Like,
I don't actually know why they cut it. I'm just reading the headline, but I feel like they just cut it because of time.
That's why they cut a ton of scenes.
Yeah.
Just in general. And it's not generally, if it's not important for the plot.
Yeah.
And, they're just going to cut it if it's just not needed. And I would disagree with the argument, but it's, I don't, if it doesn't, doesn't seem like it's important to Space Jam.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going to. I mean, sorry, it's Jane the Virgin actress Grace Santo, not Santo Grace. Just going to clarify that. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think it's good for even children's movies, even like a fluff movie like Space Jam, to have like, good lessons in there that you can take away some stuff. But I also agree, like, I don't want that shoehorned into my Space Jam movie if it doesn't belong. I think it's a very important message, but like,
it's not a message for Space Jam. Like a kid's not going to walk away from Space Jam and be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Kid's going to walk away and be like, cool, basketball's awesome.
Basketball's awesome.
I want to go to space.
Yeah. I want to go to space. I'm going to have this really stretchy arm. And this one, it seems like, LeBron's arm gets like anime aura around his arm, and then he does like crazy slam dunks with it. Like, that's all I want out of a Space Jam.
I'm assuming they're redoing the iconic.
Do you think they'll do it?
Michael Jordan. I mean, they'd have to.
Do you think, because I've always theorized this, and this is not the first time that I've done this on the show. Maybe I've done it too many times, but I always theorize that LeBron's not just one arm gets stretchy, but like his arms and legs get stretchy in the second one. They have to up the ante.
Wait, what do you mean you theorize this like specifically LeBron James Space Jam 2?
Yes, because before we had basically we knew that Space Jam 2 was coming. And from there, I was just like, you know how we theorize on the next Avengers movie? Well, that's beyond me. I do Space Jam.
That's fair. Your capacity is definitely at the Space Jam level.
I agree. And I know some may think that's an insult, but that's not to me, because Space Jam is very, very important. I can't wait for the trilogy where Michael Jordan and LeBron team up at the same time.
I mean, I expect a cameo. To be honest, though, I think it's just going to be a bold Incredibles crossover where he becomes Elastigirl.
Oh, very cool. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? People on the internet are really weird about Elastigirl.
That's true. That's not appropriate for this.
No. Well, I mean, we kind of already brought it up. It's her butt. Okay. So let's move on from that awkward topic and go on to, and this is something that frequently comes up on Talking Tongue. I cannot wait until this comes out because it's very soon, and it's the Justice League Snyder Cut. The only reason why I can't wait for it to come out is because I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of hearing about this stupid movie. But this week in this Snyder Cut, whatever novel of stories that has been happening week over week over the last year or so, is that the Snyder Cut leaks accidentally replaced Tom and Jerry on HBO Max. So when people put on Tom and Jerry, it was a 4.5-hour movie of the Snyder Cut.
How does that happen?
Yeah, you tell me. You do code stuff. I don't know what you do. You've told me many times, but how does that happen?
Well, I don't do it now, but I have a basic understanding. That's why I'm like really confused about how that would possibly even happen. Because it's not even anywhere in the same realm. It's like someone accidentally uploading. It's like saving a file name incorrectly, but on a system that is meant to not allow you to do that. Like how? Oh, that blows my mind.
And that's with HBO money too. That
Yeah,
happened. That mistake. So
they probably gave like an intern the wrong credentials and then just said, "Oh, just throw this here and nothing will go wrong." And then, or maybe it's intentional and some people really wanted folks to watch this.
well, people are gonna watch it anyways, right? Like I'm gonna watch it. I don't want to, but I need to see it now.
But is this a publicity stunt?
Oh, you think so? For Tom and Jerry, that's the movie they
No,
chose.
not for. Yeah, this is what brings Tom and Jerry back. Yes, this is obviously about Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I cannot wait for this movie to come out because we have to stop talking about my biggest fear is that it actually is really well loved by the people who really wanted this movie, and all they want after this is like the continued Snyder cut. You know what I mean?
Now, is this because I was thinking it was a different thing, but like, so is it redoing the movie with the different cuts, or like what? I don't necessarily get the hype behind the changes.
All right. So the short version is Zack Snyder was doing the Justice League, as we all know.
Yeah.
And something terrible happened where he had to leave because of personal reasons on one of the biggest movies for DC coming at the time. Joss Whedon comes in and puts his own Joss Whedon spin on it. You know, a lot of people don't like Joss Whedon because of the way he treated people, whatever. But the point is, for Zack Snyder, his vision wasn't executed. So basically, he had this idea of what he wanted, and Joss Whedon was like, "I'm just going to put this other stuff in here." And the movie came out, and not a lot of people liked it. I thought it was okay at best. I've only seen it once, and then years later, people were demanding for the Snyder cut. Zack Snyder was finally like, I want the Snyder cut too. Yeah. And now it's essentially they were remaking the movie with footage that already existed, but he gets to cut and animate.
He gets to bring out his vision.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He said there was no reshoots. And as soon as he got approved, he did a couple reshoots. So, you know?
Yeah.
So now it's a 4.5 hour movie.
I mean, I'm going to see it. You can't not watch it. Now, will I pay money for it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But like, I want to see it.
Yeah. I don't even think we can get HBO Max in Canada, can we?
Oh, Canada sucks.
Yes. Yeah. Our streaming stuff is awful around here. All right. Well, here's another weird TV and movies are getting weird, man. So here is the Powerpuff Girls live action series cast has been announced.
Amazing.
If people don't know already, then they are making a live action Powerpuff Girls, and it's exactly the type of Hollywood bullshit story that's been going on for years, where they take your beloved franchise that doesn't need any type of sequel, they make it live action, and instead it's like grown up Powerpuff Girls, but now they have problems because they were saving the world as kids.
Yeah. Why now? They're grown ups. I immediately went to who are they going to cast for this? Yeah.
So I'm going to list some names, but I don't actually know some of them. I know one of them, which is Chloe Bennett, who plays in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is Asian looking. We have Dove Cameron, who's playing whatever the blue one was. Buttercup? I don't remember. It's been a while. Was it Buttercup?
Oh, I don't know.
Bubbles. And Buttercup was the green one, played by Yana Perot. And I don't know. They're supposed to be sisters, but they don't look anything alike. I get that you want to do multicasting, but it's like diversity casting, but also like they're direct sisters.
I think you fundamentally don't understand how the Powerpuff Girls were created. Then do we have to go to the origin story? Because like yes, they're related, but it's like through like magic.
Yeah.
So they can do whatever.
Magic or science?
It's magic. Well, it's both. Science is magic. But like you're making it seem like they have to be like perfectly genetic, like sisters.
I guess it's I mean, whatever. I don't really care for whatever this show is going to be.
Yeah,
I just think the Powerpuff Girls was a certain thing. They're all like bite-sized heroes,
yeah,
but now they're going to be grown-ups that have like a drinking problem and
and
things
yeah,
like
yeah. So
that.
there's two important questions. Is John Hamm the professor? Because
Oh,
I feel
yes.
like that would make sense. And then who is Mojo Jojo?
Do they? I hope they don't do a thing where it's like Mojo Jojo is now a human or something like that, and
Yeah,
he has a drinking
feelings. Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just a story I didn't need to see, but clearly you're excited about it.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll pay for that over Justice League.
Actually, you know what? I probably would too. Oh, good boy. All right, a few more news stories before we hit our topic of the week, and that is Disney Plus. They're doing something interesting here, and they basically took Peter Pan, among other movies like Dumbo, and what was the other one? Aristocats, which we just recently watched for the other podcast in the PodCavern, Disney Dummies, and they took it off Disney Plus for kids to watch, and you can only watch it if you agree to like the 18 plus kind of agreement now. Peter Pan,
What?
Dumbo, and Aristocats.
Why 18? Like, so is it legitimate 18 plus or just like a
Mature,
parental
parental,
guidance check?
whatever. Yeah,
Okay, so I
yeah,
was gonna say
something.
like actually 18 plus is like that's a bit much.
Yeah, no,
Um,
parental, whatever the parental controls are.
that's I mean, the problem is Disney Plus started off trying to be overly aggressive, like only kids, and then they realized, oh shit, that won't make us enough money, and now they've brought in their other like stars, and they're
Yeah,
bringing in like, and they realized they need to branch out to just more than kids.
of course. Yeah.
So so it doesn't surprise me that they have parental checks in general, but for Disney movies that have been around forever, like
So
what's going on with Dumbo?
oh,
Like
lots of
what?
things. Yeah. Well, the by doing Disney Dummies, I've realized, and I kind of knew this before too, but like there's a lot of cultural insensitivity in those
And
older
that's
movies,
for
and I
sure.
get it, and that's fine. And we've talked about it. We ripped them apart on Disney Dummies, and I think it's good to talk about. But the essence of those movies aren't about those cultural insensitivities.
Yeah.
I know they exist, but like even just up until a couple months ago, they are throwing up a warning being like, these movies have some bad stuff in it. It was wrong then, it's wrong now, but we're going to preserve this so everyone can see it as it is.
And well, that's the thing. Like I hate saying it, but the cancel culture of like having to remove everything, but like so yes, at the time, and you look back at it and you're like, ooh, that's insensitive, or like that's, in some cases not so subtle racism.
Yep.
But there are movies out there today that are coming out that are like focused on racism.
Yeah.
And yes, they're not on Disney, but it's like those movies will continue to exist no matter what. And so like what are you going to do? Like it's I don't know. I guess maybe the minimal thing you can do is putting the parental guidance and that like protects it. But are they
Yeah.
concerned someone's going to watch Aristocats and then be racist and then sue Disney? Like
We just recently watched Aristocats. You'd have to, as a kid watching that, like as a kid watching any of that stuff goes way above my head. Like I'm not watching Dumbo and being like, oh my God, the way they treat Black people, which is terrible in the movie. But like, I don't look at that. I'm looking at this flying elephant. Peter Pan, I'm looking at this flying boy with a knife, you know?
yeah, but devil's advocate, it's the subconscious thinking is what
Yeah,
happens, right? So it's like, yeah, as an adult, you're thinking, okay, I'm not actually thinking from that perspective.
it's
But
true. Yeah.
if a kid were to watch Dumbo 100 times in a week, would
Yeah.
that just become what their thought is of Black people? Because like like that's a thing.
It's hard because with that movie in particular, it's not like well, this is probably bad too, but they don't even really address Black people in that movie. They just have a really terrible song where they were doing labor to set up the circus camp.
That's not good. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm not familiar enough with those movies, have not watched them, so
it's
I'm like I
okay.
really don't know.
Peter
I
Pan, he
don't.
dresses up as an Indian, and he always talks about how he's like, I'm an Indian. And then he's like, "Bah, bah, bah, bah," like he'll do like sounds, and he'll wear like the
Yeah.
headdress and stuff like that. And Aristocats, like that's the most recent movie out of those three that I listed that I watched. And it's just no, they don't even have the Siamese cats in that one. I don't know which part of the Aristocats. There's a Siamese
Yeah.
cat that
Yeah,
plays
I know.
piano
Hmm.
that with chopsticks. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. In that movie? Okay.
But that's it.
I wasn't sure if it was like a class separation
No.
issue.
Anyways, kind of like I agree with you. I get it too to an extent, but like these it's a tricky one. It's a
Yeah, and
tricky one.
the movie exists. Like it's kind of like, and it's not to say you could say that it always existed and there aren't problems with it. As you said, you could talk about it and you can call out that there are issues with it, but do you really need to overextend yourself and say like we were wrong? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tricky one. Last two news stories that I have, and those ones will be really quick. Actually, I'll end on the most fun one. We'll go to this one next, which I kind of really hate, which is Avatar is once again the highest grossing movie of all time over Avengers Endgame. And it's because Avatar was re-released this year in China. And then we had this whole thing yesterday where Disney was thanking Disney or congratulating Disney, and other producers were like, congratulations, other Disney corporation. Like, but also like, I want to hear it from you because Avatar was the highest grossing movie of all time for a very long time until Avengers came out, and Avengers rightfully, in my mind, beat it. Is it even fair to re-release this movie and then call it like the best? Like, I don't know.
Okay, I have a few problems with your sentence there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will 100% agree with the re-release should not, like, there needs to be some factor into play because yeah, that seems pretty ridiculous. Like there's a window of the movie's new and yeah, maybe you keep it in theaters longer, but re-releasing it this many years later,
Just to get the title again.
But people want to see it. Like obviously people paid for it, but
yeah.
Should it impact that title? From a technical standpoint, I guess it can because it's still like grossing like dollar amounts. But totally. But yeah, like it seems like it's cheating. However, if you look back to even the movies from like way back when they only made like 2 movies a year, what there's I can't remember which movie it was that was up there for like number of ticket sales because it was in theaters for like 2 years. So there's movies that are like in, like, was it Gone with the Wind? I don't know. There was something where it was like the movie was in theaters for like 2 years. And it's like, okay, there needs to be like some calculation to say like per month of release, it makes this much. Now, the issue I have with your sentence is saying Endgame rightfully so took first place.
Yes.
What do you mean rightfully so? What kind of bullshit is that?
Rightfully so, because not only in my mind is Avengers Endgame a far better movie than Avatar, but it also put in the work for it as well. We're talking about like 20, like we're talking about multiple movies laying the groundwork of the MCU, never been done before. I know you have your own feelings about the MCU, Doug, but think about like all of the movies that came before it to culminate into this cinematic event for millions, trillions of people out there, right? Avatar, and like I'm not one of those people who bash Avatar as much as other people. Like when that movie came out, I bought it on Blu-ray. I really like the visuals of Avatar. I think the world is pretty cool, even though you have sex with hair. Like that's, you know what I mean? But
you
like
you don't do that.
I don't do that yet. I'm still kind of scared. But at the end of the day, like the story Avatar and like the weight of all of it has been done before. And this movie's just like very pretty, I guess.
Yeah.
Where Avengers to me is like characters that people care about deeply. They've developed them in such a way that, you know, it made sense for this event movie to make it to number 1 because it's never been done in cinematic history. And then Avatar just comes around.
But you make it seem, so I won't disagree with the 23, however many movies in the build-up, but you make it seem like Avatar didn't change the world of cinematic enjoyment and 3D experience. Like that's the reason why 3D movies continue to exist, even though they don't deserve it because a lot of times they're just not great. But like Avatar, literally changed that.
They did change that.
And I think you're underrating the like, oh, it's a nice vision. No, you didn't say it like that. It's a nice visual.
Yeah.
You're underselling how much of an impact Avatar made on the visual world.
Yes. I argue the cinematic connected thing is a much bigger deal than 3D movies, only because.
But not just 3D. It's the visual world building was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And also Devil's Advocate. Marvel
Uh-oh.
movies, I enjoy the hell out of them. I love them. I love
Go.
them all. I went to theaters. I'm just gonna say that
Uh-huh.
if you could put a similar plot line, you could be like, "Oh, Avatar is a similar plot line of like 5 other movies," which of course it is.
Yeah, huh?
Any Avengers movie, bad guy, bad, good guys kill bad guy. Like, congratulations.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm just saying, you can bring any plot down to its simplified version.
Yes. And that is devil's advocate. And I would continue playing this role because that's what you and I do. But we are not going to play this devil's advocate on devil's advocate. Let's just say that I'm right and you're wrong. Okay, let's move on. Usually I don't turn on my guests like that on this show because, but with you, Doug, you're something special.
It's my face. It's my face.
It's your face. It's your hockey face, but it's okay. I can't get mad at the top half of you. All right. So the last story I have is actually pretty fun. I really love this. And Modders turns Christopher Nolan's Tenet into a 5-cartridge Game Boy Advance movie. Now, for people who don't know, there used to be Game Boy Advance cartridges that held like episodes of TV and stuff like that. You would plug it in, you get like 2 episodes of Fairly Odd Parents. I know because my cousin did that one time. Yeah, my cousin, quote unquote, and it was like literally 2 episodes. It's like $30, and you'd have to buy multiple cartridges to finish a season. Stupid. But someone turned Christopher Nolan's Tenet movie into a 5-cartridge Game Boy Advance movie, which is amazing because Christopher Nolan has been very adamant about how his movie can only be, seen in the cinema. So how do you feel about this?
I'm probably just upset they didn't didn't do that for Avatar.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they didn't do that and 3D experience. No, I mean, I all of Christopher Nolan movies and so many movies are way better in theaters. So I won't disagree with that. But I mean, in the world where theaters just can't exist, watch it however you can. Now, does it need to be in a 5? You said 5 cartridges?
Yep.
That is probably taking it a bit too far.
Oh, it's just to show it in Christopher Nolan's face because he was so anti give it to us at home. He was just like, everybody go to the theater to see my movie during COVID, and everyone got mad.
Yeah, that's not good. But I mean, I'm going to support Christopher Nolan on any movie he'll make. I will not watch a trailer. I'm just going to see it. I don't care. It's going to be great. And so I'm going to support Christopher Nolan.
Have you seen Tenet?
I have. It's definitely not one of his better ones. I still enjoyed it. It was still confusing as hell. Classic Christopher Nolan.
Yep.
But I enjoyed it.
Did you go to the theaters?
I did not. I watched it from the comfort of my own home, but I didn't. My argument here isn't that I need to see it in theaters because that part is bad with the COVID. What I'm saying is the spite for Christopher Nolan. I don't want that because I want him to continue to make movies.
You're right. Me too. I think Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors in the ways that he makes movies. I think he's a little pompous, like a lot of movie directors out there.
He deserves to be. He makes some of the best movies, like not even the most recent ones. Like Prestige is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yep.
And it's like perfect.
I've brought this story up somewhere before, but I remember sitting next to someone on the plane and they're watching Dunkirk on like the little screen behind the chair. And I'm like, that is fucking amazing. Cause that is like the worst possible way to watch that movie.
Well, that one you want the full sound experience, right? Like you're not getting it through crappy headphones on an airplane.
Yeah. I think they're using the crappy headphones that, they would hand out for like $10. Yeah. That one. Ugh. Anyways, we're going to go. Enough news stories for the week. We're going to talk about the thing of the week. And I say thing because usually we do movies, but this time's a video game. So Doug, do you want to introduce the video game that we're talking about this week?
Oh yeah. Now I got to remember what the full title is to not butcher it. The game is Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. So for the Switch.
Oh boy.
Did I miss any words? It's a long title. I feel like I missed something.
Very long title. No, you nailed it. So this episode here was a month in the making. You and I were very excited for this game. And we're like, should we talk about it right away? We're like, let's not rush through it. Let's just play it. and we wanted to celebrate Mario's 35th birthday. And let's just start with your thoughts. What do you think of this game? We'll just start with 3D World, and then we'll go into Bowser's Fury after.
Yeah. Now, I think the important thing to call out early on with the review and what I think is I didn't play 3D World before. I didn't have a Wii U. So like this was for me a fresh game. And I didn't even really play the one on the 3DS as
3D
well.
Land.
So it's 3D Land. So it's been a while since I've played, and I played that a little bit. So it's been a while since I played like a fresh new Mario game. So for me, this was like feeling like a kid again on Christmas, like opening it up, jumping in and playing like multiplayer with my partner. I absolutely, I loved it. Now it didn't try and like reinvent the wheel. They have a known pattern that works. And so they're going to continue that. But I went in expecting that and really enjoyed it. And there were some surprises in there of what they did, but like overall impression, I really enjoyed it. It was a ton of fun definitely for the Mario part of the game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like the Wii U is a system. It's like one of the only Nintendo systems I really didn't want to buy because I'm like, what is this system and why does it exist? But there are games that came out that I'm like, fuck, I wish I played that. And you know how Nintendo has been lately. They're like, you know what? We're going to take all those games from the Wii U that were the best, and we're going to resell it for maximum dollars.
Yeah, and I fit in that criteria of people who will just eat that shit up, and it's bad. And I know people get angry about that, but like I haven't played these. I have the time. I'm going to play this.
Yeah, I am the same way. You know, am I mad that it's $80? You know what? Of course I am. I don't want to spend $80 on anything. I'm a cheapo, but. The thing with this game is they added Bowser's Fury into it, which is different than what Nintendo's done in the past. They've literally been able to successfully sell us the same shit without doing any work, and I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
This one they actually threw in a bone, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with 3D World, let's see. So you've never played 3D Land, but 3D World is different. Do you want to explain what we're looking at? How is it different than some other Mario games?
Than the other classic ones? Okay, well, I want to throw out this crazy concept, Tuong. Now I know it might go over your head here.
Uh-huh.
So we live in this thing called third dimension, where it isn't just a flat surface. So all the older games are in a two-dimensional space. And this
slow down here.
Okay, so one dimension, no. So the whole concept is that, it's the same style, getting to the flag. You got the power-ups, but it's the fact that there's the extra dimension of depth that really, funny enough, like adds a lot to the game, but adds a lot of challenge in terms of where you're trying to jump and trying to time everything. Like the number of times where we were just laughing that we couldn't do a certain part, or like panic jumping it and then like end up coming too close to the screen and like flying off. But so the third dimension, adds that extra twist. And I know 3D Land really did it first and obviously quite successful in the fact that they're going to continue doing it. But it creates a combination of, not anywhere near the Odyssey level of control, like Mario Odyssey and all that 3D All-Stars Galaxy, but it brings that level of like world building while keeping the formula of saving someone and doing the individual levels and getting the flag. And so that formula they know works and it's fun. And so they're just leveling up the world building.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job.
Yeah. So it's not like quite the 3D platformer, like you said, like a 64, like a Sunshine, a Galaxy, Odyssey.
You don't have the open world parts.
Yeah,
obviously.
Well, maybe in Bowser's Fury, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's not quite like your classic 2D Mario games where like 1, 2, and 3, or even the new Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, it's like a hybrid. And I agree. Like there is many times in this game still that I fuck up a jump because of the way the camera is.
Oh yeah.
And I just fly off the stage and I'm like, God damn it. Yeah. But it's really easy to jump back in. So it's fine. Well,
that's the thing. And they cater towards that where you don't want to sit there frustrated of restarting and whatever. You're okay with challenging levels because it doesn't punish you to have to go all the way. We're not playing Dark Souls. This isn't a Mario Dark Souls which I would probably love. But
yeah. Well, I think you'll really love the later levels.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I haven't got to some of those yet.
Oh man. I'll back up for a second here too. I, there's not much of a story in this game, like many Mario games. It's always kind of like save a thing. This time it's not save the princess, it's save these tiny fairies. Kind of like they don't really explain much, but it's a Mario game. What do you want?
Yeah,
Like it doesn't matter, right? You're world hopping, going from thing to thing. But a big aspect of this game, well, there's two. One is its sandboxy type of level design, especially early on, because this is a multiplayer game, or it can be. Now, you played in multiplayer, so I want to hear
yeah,
your experience with that.
yeah. We played through the whole main stories. We did a couple of the extra levels. We've only done one extra world, but like we played through the whole main game multiplayer, and that was just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Just the accidental grabbing, throwing each other on top of the depth challenges, but just like bringing back that style of doing that normal Mario game of saving. I will say, I'm happy you didn't have to save the princess. I like that they changed that
Yep.
because Peach can only get captured so many times. Um, but no, we had like the reason why we were able to play through all the levels pretty fast was because we enjoyed it so much that it was like after work, let's hop on, play a world. And we
Yeah.
would sit in one sitting, beat a whole world and almost 100% it and
Yeah.
just laugh the whole time. So that was a ton of fun. So you played it single player the whole time?
Yeah, I try to get Laura to play. I'm like, Laura, you should play this game. She picked up the controller, not on a multiplayer thing. She just wanted to try it out, but it was like one of the harder levels in like World 8 or something like that. And she got frustrated and she's like, I don't want to play this game. I'm like, what if you start at World 1? It'll be a lot of fun. And she's like, nope. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh,
So I
that
did play it all alone.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like you screwed up there. So
I did. But to be honest with you, I like playing Mario games alone. So I wanted to try the multiplayer for this conversation and just in
yeah.
general. But that's what I'm very curious about, because we had probably very different experiences. Me doing single player and you doing multiplayer. How did you find the essence of playing a Mario game and the platforming was the same, or was it just kind of different all around having your partner doing it with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it still captured the essence. I think the differences I felt weren't so much because it was multiplayer, but just playing like 3D World, like certain characters being a bit more floaty, or they try to be like a bit more hand-holdy if you die too much, because that's not, again, it's not a Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
They want you to be able to beat the level and not be frustrated.
Yeah.
So I think the essence of it still remained the same. There's probably just a level of goofiness that occurs on top of it with the multiplayer, and I can only imagine having four people in there playing some of the
Oh
old
my
ones. Like that
God.
would just be hilariously hectic, and you make your own mini games of racing to the finish to try and piss people off
Yeah.
versus trying to work together. Because we were trying to work together too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it took away or changed the type of game it's meant to be. It's just nice. I'm going to say it. It was nice to share this moment with somebody, Tom, that you weren't able to.
You know, I'm a little sad. I would have loved to play this game with somebody who wanted to play this game with me. Unfortunately, I didn't have that chance. Like I really liked New Super Mario Brothers did this too. They had a 4-player thing. I don't those games are fine. I don't bash on them like other people, but they're not the best Mario games out there. And with this one here, it seemed like with the more open box level design where like, you know, it's just much more wide. You can fit more people and do more things.
Yeah,
I think
it's
there
not as
was like,
crowded.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to me, there seemed to be a lot more options for chaos, but also fun by the way
Yeah.
it's designed. Yeah.
Can
Um,
we talk about the Toad Tracker levels?
oh my God, let's talk about it. Yeah. Well, you want to set it up what that is?
Yeah. So I think was it part of the update coming to the Switch, or were they always in the game
From my
before?
understanding, this has always been in the base game, and then people loved it so much that they spun it off into its own
Okay.
separate game.
Okay. So because I wasn't sure if it was like because of the game they brought it in, but yeah. In any case, so Toad Tracker, basically the same way you go through the worlds, you find a level. There's a level where Toad's hanging out, and it's a Toad Tracker level where you play as Toad in a like cube like level, very
Mhm.
restricted movement, but you're kind of just like mini puzzles in a completely different style. And with two people in it, so that was also multiplayer, and that
Oh,
was
that's so
hilarious.
interesting.
So
Oh
it
my
got
God.
pretty crowded,
Wow.
but it's yeah, and I really liked those levels. It was a nice change to the routine. because the fact you also get like 5 stars or even 10 stars, I think it's some, oh, I think it was 5 stars. But it was a nice change in the routine of not doing a full level, change up the style, still feel this cute puzzly type thing. But a lot more puzzle folks, but I love them. That was such a nice, I didn't realize they were in there. Such a nice surprise to me.
Yeah, so basically you're Toad or Captain Toad, and you can really just walk. It's your basically your only option, and you can move the camera, and it does a really cool thing. This is where the 3D aspect really comes into play, is that you're moving the camera in such a way to like reveal where you can go next and hitting switches so you can get the next star. And it was just enough of a challenge that it felt very satisfying to do, but it wasn't like so difficult that I'm like, fuck this, and threw my Switch to the wall. I also really, it makes me want to play the actual Captain Toad Treasure Tracker game.
So we looked it up at the price, because I think it's like a $40 or $50 game. This isn't Freedom Bucks. This is maple syrup dollars. So I think it's actually like 30 or I think it's like 50 or 60. And so my brother actually played it and he really liked it. He played it with his partner as well. Now, was it worth the full price? I don't think. It's something that I've now put on my wish list that wasn't. And if it goes on sale, I really contemplate buying it because it was that much fun in the game.
Yeah, I agree. And then they have some other stuff in the game, like they have like just a way to like switch up the main just courses and things like that. They would have like this speed run for stars.
Yeah. Oh, those were so good.
Yeah, so they're like micro puzzles, but they rely on like precision jumping and timing. And if you fuck it up, then you got to start over, right? So those are really fun.
Yeah, and those were like 8 seconds each, and you had to do 10 in a row in some cases. Those were hilariously hectic with 2 people.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, because you got to time the jumps, but then you're bumping into each other. You screw it up, and then we're sitting there going like, "Oh, we just got to the 9th one. We got to do it again."
Oh man, I think we are skipping over a very big aspect of this game, and that's everything's cats in this game.
Wait. No. Not everything is cats in Super Mario. Is everything a cat in in the
3D
base?
world? That's not true. In Bowser's Fury, certainly.
Yeah, that was one of my notes, and you stole it. But...
Well, let's talk about cats, because this game is cat forward, very cat forward. In fact, I mentioned this in our Super Mario Songs ranked episode that just came out. But every time I got the cat power up, I loved it so much that I would just whisper to myself, and Laura would hear me, and I would just say, "I'm a cat, meow meow." And Laura's like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "I'm a cat, obviously." I love this cat power up. It's so fun.
I agree. So I mean, it reminds me of that of the lawyer Zoom call that I'm not a cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the cat power, it basically turned into my default of I wanted to be a cat all the time.
All the time.
It's the best power up. It's so good. But I mean, the problem was the one downside was so many of the secrets depended on it, where it felt like that's why I wanted to have it, was I was scared to miss out on climbing up a wall and realizing there's something up there.
Yeah.
Now, whether they over-indexed, I don't know. But I agree. The cat power-up was amazing. You could also like Superman jump. I don't know if you ever figured that.
Oh, yeah.
I did that accidentally. I'm like, what the hell did I just do?
You mean like you go like on a diagonal and like pounce on someone? Yeah. I use that all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mobility in this game is interesting because coming off like Sunshine and Galaxy and all that stuff, like I found the movement and jumping a lot more responsive in those games. In this game, it is still responsive, but it's not one of those things where I can like quickly flick from right to left and like my Mario would like, side jump right away. Yeah. It's a little bit more, I don't know, it's the word rigid in some senses and floaty in other senses.
Yeah, and they definitely tried to counter that with the different characters, because I know if you played as Peach, I don't think you would float a little bit more, and you would be a bit slower. If you played as Luigi, I mean, Luigi always just runs like an idiot
and jumps higher.
And Toad was like way faster.
Yeah,
so I think it was a weird transition. Now, once you get used to it, it's totally fine. But I agree. I mean, you're comparing like Galaxy and Odyssey, where it's like the most fluid Mario gameplay, where it feels so natural to this. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the side scroller Marios have always felt not as fluid or like laggy, floaty type jump that you just get used to. Yeah, and it was definitely still in this game.
And I guess like it's not a complaint. It's just something that you'd want to get used to because it
Yeah,
takes a bit more time to, especially because I was playing the 3D All Stars games like back to back to back. So like the feel of those games were different wildly. And then going into this game, it was like very, very different, which is fine. You just something to get used to. The cat power up's really good. I love the boomerang power up as
yeah,
well. I kind of wish there were more power ups in the game personally. That's just a me thing, I guess.
yeah.
But the Tanuki suit, like always find ways to put the Tanuki suit in games now, but it's never the same Tanuki suit as it was in Super Mario 3. You can't fly.
The other thing was the outfits when we played as Peach and we were wearing the Tanuki suit or the boomerang suit. Adorable. The
Oh,
number
so
of
cute.
the number of screenshots that I took at the end of a level when you do that like thumbs up like
Yeah.
dance thing, and it's
Yeah.
like you're just seeing someone in like a football helmet and a weird like catcher's thing
Yep.
for the boomerang. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the suits, the power-ups are really good. I just wish there were more. In fact, it's kind of strange because in 3D Land, I remember there was a big mushroom power-up, which they only did like once in this game. I think it was the
Yeah.
first level where you become like this giant version of yourself and you're stomping through stuff. But
They
out of all the levels I played, you only do that one time.
I mean, they must have saved that for Bowser's Fury then because, well, I mean, I guess the game already exists, so they didn't save it. But you're right, like there wasn't too much variety. But I never played as Cat Mario. Like I played Mario
Oh
Maker
yeah.
2 and I used the power ups and stuff. But I mean, I never actually played a game that had the ball, so they all felt new to me.
Yeah, yeah. And no, the cat stuff was completely new, and I just really, really like that. The other thing I want to talk about is the extras in this game. So like the base story, if you're just pounding through it, it goes quick, especially early on in the game. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna finish this game in like 2 hours because the levels are like over within what seems like 2 minutes. Like you can finish the first level in like 30 seconds if you wanted to, right? But then as levels progress, it's a classic Mario thing where
Yeah,
the levels get slightly longer or much more complex.
yeah. When you're talking now, when you say levels, like do you mean like a full world or just like in a level
Just
per?
regular courses, I would
Yeah,
say. But yeah, as worlds progress, it gets harder and harder, of course.
yeah.
But like especially World 1 and 2, like you're finishing that in like
Oh
five
yeah.
minutes max, right?
Well, okay. I mean, okay, maybe you're an expert playing by yourself, but we weren't that quick. But I do agree that we felt like it was going faster than we anticipated. And we almost like intentionally slowed down a bit. But they definitely did the classic pacing, more
Yeah.
challenging to the extent that we actually stopped playing in the bonus worlds because they were so hard. We're like, we're not going to do these in a single setting. We're going to like do this at our own pace. I'm not going to rush through it for this podcast because
Yeah, yeah,
they
same.
were getting very hard.
Oh my God. And so yeah, that's the thing is like this game has the base game where you can kind of not breeze by it, but go fairly quickly, but it's deceiving because there's way more content afterwards, which is like really good. So there's 4 bonus worlds in this game. And if as soon as you beat the base game, you get access to the next bonus world, and then the next bonus world, then the next bonus world. But the last bonus world is dependent on getting all these green stars, stickers or stamps, and reaching the top of the flagpole in every single level, which
Yeah.
is insane.
Oh yeah. Like that's the thing. Like we're probably going to go and do the bonus ones. And once we realized we needed 100% it to get all of the worlds, we started playing a bit smarter, but it easily doubled or even tripled the time that you would play the game to get to these bonus worlds,
Yeah.
based on those bonus worlds, which is pretty great for people who just want to play more Mario levels.
Yeah, it just gives more, I guess, content to the
Yeah.
package where you might think it's like, oh, it's an 8 hour thing. Like, I don't want to pay $80 for this. But like, if you love Mario, there's way more Mario in this game than you think.
Oh, so much more, and that's where I was surprised by that too, and very excited because it's like I will be continuing to play this game for a long time.
It's just so
Yeah.
much fun to play, and it's so good. And I love the
Yeah.
music in this game, especially
Yeah.
the Super Bell Hill music, which we've talked about in previous episode of Ranked. But like that song, I fucking sing all the time. Do 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 do
Yeah.
do 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 do. You know
Yeah.
the song.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't have sung it better myself. No, I actually, yeah, I wrote that down. That the music and like just the colors, the visuals, it just makes you smile before you even start a level. You're like, this is adorable, this is fun. I'm going into it, and The additional other characters, I have to do a shout out for Plessy.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
Plessy.
Yeah. What is
Character
Plessy for the people?
Plessy is a Loch Ness monster like character. Actually, it might just be a Loch Ness monster named
Probably.
Plessy. And it allows you it's a different type of level, or they throw it in between levels where instead of you're still Mario, but you jump on this Loch Ness monster's back and you're like flying through, going down a ramp. So the way in like Mario 64, where you're going down like the speed ramps and you're trying to go at a certain pace. It felt like those kind of things. So it switched up the routine of the level in a really fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, playing with two people, you had to time your jumps together and
Are
your
you all on the
directions.
same Plessy?
You're on the same Plessy.
Oh, wow.
And so you had to time your jumps if you want to do things. So it was just a really fun switch up. And the character was just also adorable. But
Who controls Plessy? You both do?
You both do. So if one of you turns right and the other turns left, it won't go in any direction.
Wow.
So you had to be coordinated. But that was such a random thing to show up. And I was so happy to see, spoilers, that it also came up a ton in 3D World.
Oh my God.
Or in Bowser's Fury.
Yeah.
And I was so happy. I was like, this is great. I love Plessy.
Yeah, Plessy is a lot of fun. And it's so frustrating when you miss a green star and you're like, I need to go back for that. I'm hitting try again or whatever. I'm going to purposely die. Speaking of green stars, probably the last thing I'll say about 3D World is that this is a change in how the Wii U version was made. In fact, there was a lot of minor tweaks to this because apparently this game is using the Odyssey engine to be recreated for the Switch, which makes sense because Odyssey is beautiful and they use some assets from that. But the interesting thing is that when you're going for the bonus content, the green stars, the stamps, every level has 3 green stars and 1 stamp. And in this game, if you collect it one time and if you die right away or whatever, it doesn't matter, then you keep it. So in the Wii U version, you had to collect the green stars and the stamps along the way. And when you finish the level, that's when you keep it all. You keep all your progress. In this one, you can just basically throw Mario off a cliff to get a green star, and then you just get it. How do you feel about that?
Now, that wasn't it. That's like 99% true, because if you do run out of lives,
yes, that's true.
It does, but like that's pretty hard to do because they give you ample opportunity.
Oh, I've run out of lives.
No. We did too. But I mean, in terms of you're going to strategically be like, I'm going to jump off this cliff and get this. I mean, it doesn't bother me because the type of game it's trying to be, again, it's not trying to be prove your worth by 100%ing this by beating every world and never dying. If you wanted to get 100% of the green stars to get the bonus content, you can, and it's less painful.
Yeah.
If you didn't care for them, you're just not going to do that or not care enough to like sacrifice a life to get it. So I think it makes sense for the style of game, and I don't have a problem with it. So I thought that was fine. Now, again, I didn't actually know there was the change, but I had no problem with it. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm a little conflicted because like part of me is like really happy it's there because that's the only real way I'm going to be able to see that last level kind of thing, that last world, which is apparently the hardest Mario level that's been created in a long time, which I'm very curious about. But the other sense of me is like that person that just really likes to get punished, you know, so, that dark souls in me. And I mean, of course I can just mimic it because the shadow of the green stars is there. So you can just pretend to go get it and stuff like that. But I found myself and this is my fault, but I would just throw my Mario off a cliff, sacrifice a life, get that green star because that option existed, because it was a viable option. Really doesn't break the game ultimately for me, but I think it was just like an interesting choice. But going to your point, you're right. This game is ultimately a kid's game. It's a bright and colorful game. They want people to experience it in a nice way. That's why if you die a lot of times, you get the gold Tanuki suit, makes you pretty much invincible, right? Yeah. So it makes sense. Just a little bit means a little disappointed because I can cheese it, and I will. So.
Funny enough, though, that you say that, I didn't realize that we rarely did it. It sounds like you're just bad at the game, to be honest, if you're sacrificing yourself that much. Because I think we only did it like once.
I did it a few times because there's times where there's a big jump and the only way to get it is for example, get the boomerang power up and you throw the boomerang. But if you don't have the boomerang power up, the next best option is to long jump Mario to get the star. And that's what I did a few times.
Or maybe you just be a normal person and find a boomerang suit.
But sometimes they don't have that suit in the level.
I think you're just playing this game wrong. It sounds
Doug,
like you're just bad.
If you think you're better than me at Mario, then let's go. Bud.
I don't think I know, but I did want to say though that I realized that when you play with multiplayer, the sacrificing is very different because when you die, do you restart the level in single player? Because when we were playing 2-player, I could sacrifice and Michelle's character would just sit there and then I would bubble back to her.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So the pace at which if we had to do one of those stars wasn't that bad just because we had someone else sitting on the edge of the map that was staying alive.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I would start over.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing with the multiplayer, it definitely adds an easiness to collecting it because you're like, oh, if you have to do it, it's not that bad because you just have another person on the level still.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, those can't even imagine those later levels. Like I'm only on the first world of the bonus levels and they are already pretty damn difficult, which is exciting. I like that. So all right, let's move on to Bowser's Fury. This one we don't need to talk too much about. I mean, we will because there's some good stuff in here, but it's also a shorter experience. So Doug, set up Bowser's Fury for us.
Yeah, so Bowser's Fury was additional content in this game that honestly didn't fit the mold of the 3D world and that classic go to the end of the flag. It really did feel like an additional almost like DLC of Odyssey. I think they had something that they wanted to do for Odyssey. They were like, we couldn't do it in time, or we had this idea, and let's actually just package it as part of this game. I'll get into that later, but the game itself plays like Odyssey with the exception that you're just in one world. And so they changed it up a little bit, but it did feel and play like an Odyssey, but with cats. So, and this is where what Tuong was saying before, it's exclusively cats. Like everything, the enemies, the trees, there's a bunch of cats just hanging around and you're in a cat suit. They hang out and purr with you. And it's like, so everything is literally a cat, including, I think Bowser actually turns into a cat at some point.
I think that's in the base game he turns into a cat, but in this one, I don't remember him. Wait, at the very end, he might turn into a cat.
I think he does, but it's everything is a cat. And so for me, Mario Odyssey and cats, shout out to my cat Ray Ray. I love cats. It was like this is where I need to live. Yeah.
This is interesting. You say Odyssey, and I can see that because it's a little bit more, well, it's not a little bit more, it's very open. It's like one giant map, but it has the mechanics and play feel of 3D worlds, but it's not on a 2D plane anymore. It's just very open. You can swing the camera wherever you want. And the interesting thing is it's like split up into like a few islands that have multiple courses that you can just walk up to and the level just starts, which is really cool. And you can also just fuck off and leave the level whenever you want.
Yeah. And that part was really cool to me. Like it almost felt like it was like a single world in Odyssey, but it was more trying to be like an open world.
Yeah.
Because I actually didn't realize that you could just go back and do stuff, or it would change after you did like a quest in an area and then you go back and it actually readjusted based on what you just did, which I thought was a very cool mechanic, just that freedom of doing whatever you wanted, wherever you wanted it. Yeah. And there's ample opportunity to find stuff if you're ever lost and saying like, not even lost, but you're like, I need to find a star. And you're like, oh, you go to an area and you could see, oh yes, I've just triggered a new level for me to do something. Yeah. So like, I thought that was a very cool mechanic. Like I'd be really interested if they continue that in other Mario games, because like that was very interesting.
It does seem like a grand experiment for maybe something to come. I mean, like there are aspects of this open world Mario game that's like they don't go too hard on it. Like it's open world and you have your set power-ups, and if you collect power-ups, like each power-up has a set of 5. So if you lose your cat suit, you can just open up another cat suit and that's your inventory and that's it. They don't want to overcomplicate anything. Yeah. And I found just navigating Bowser's Fury, and the music is all new and stuff too. It was just a new experience. I really liked it. And like the biggest part of it is you have Bowser who's looking like a friggin' Godzilla monster. Oh, so cool.
So angry.
And just I don't actually know the time. Let's just say
was like 8 minutes.
8 minutes, yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He would like, you can see, which is really cool. You can see him rising from the ocean in his like, uh, you see his shell and then starts spitting ink and stuff like that. And then he will just like turn into his giant friggin' Bowser mode. And you can be like in the middle of a level or doing anything, and he would appear and start shooting fire at you.
And it would change the world, actually. Like, that was the other cool thing that I liked. There was some frustrations, but like, it would literally, so to paint a picture, you have these fireballs being shot at you, but now there's all of a sudden these like things on the ground that appear that actually unblock some of the other stars you were trying to do, or there were blocks that could only be destroyed by Bowser when he's in the anger mode.
Yeah.
And that was also kind of a cool mechanic, that you're intentionally in some cases waiting for him to get angry to be able to do something new. But as you said, it's sometimes you're in the middle of the level and you're just like, fuck off, Bowser. Like, I just want to do this.
Totally.
And you're trying to dodge these fireballs coming at you.
Yeah.
But that was like, again, yeah, like kind of a cool mechanic of like, it just felt like one big story, even though I played it for like, I don't know, I didn't 100% it by any means, but like I played for a good 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
But it was all interconnected, and you're like unlocking other areas of the world as you progress and getting more.
Yeah.
Like that, it was very fresh.
Yeah. It's definitely a new experience, and you use a lot of Plessy. You're just going from island to island from Plessy.
That's your mode of transportation, because the whole thing is in water. Now, I mean, there's castles and stuff that helps, but it's like, most people would be like, oh, I hate water, or I hate like how I have to travel around. Plessy is adorable and just fast and gets you where you want to go. Yeah,
it's great. The level design, I have to say, it's so impressive the way the Bowser's Fury level design is, because they feel like full. I mean, they're full Mario levels. And I just love the freedom of it too, because you don't even have to start from the beginning of that level. Depending on where you were, you can just go into the middle of the level and just do it.
Yeah, and they didn't just like take cookie cutter levels and plop them together. They made it very smart to feel like an actual world.
Yeah.
And that at one point you're like, I'm at the end of a level, and you fall off and you're like, I'm just not going to do that anymore. And you just start something else. Like,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That is a thing that, and I would say like my biggest frustration with Bowser's Fury probably is Bowser at some points where you're like, okay, I'm trying to do this thing, Bowser, fuck off. Like but like, whatever, like overall, I think it's such a cool idea, and I just had a lot of fun with it. And it's just surprisingly longer than you think it is, because it's like you can definitely just beat it in like 3 to 4 hours if you just steamroll it. But if you want to 100% it, like you're going to add another 4 or 5 hours to that, and that's free content, right?
Yeah, so probably more than that, because I mean, it's definitely, as you get down the levels and get through some of the shines, the cat shines. Cat shines. They get a little harder to find, but and the music as well is so good.
Yeah.
But I agree, like the Bowser piece, or like when I wanted to do certain things that I needed Bowser to blow up some rocks and he wasn't showing up in time, and it was like, okay, like that. I agree, that was kind of the frustration, but like it was so minimal compared to the joy of the game. But like, the one thing that threw me off, it was such a different game than 3D World. Like, it just doesn't fit. Like, it's great. I'm happy they packaged together. I enjoyed it. I'm going to play it more. But it just feels so different and so weird to bring it as part of this game that it makes you wonder, as you said, is it a test? Is it like they're trying to figure out interest? Because it's nowhere. And honestly, you said the mechanics of 3D World kind of come in here. I didn't really feel it. Like, it did feel like more Odyssey to me.
Oh, interesting.
To me, it just felt like a completely different game. And so that's why I just think it's really weird that they're packaged together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy it's packaged together. I mean, it's only packaged together because there's cats. I think that's the
running thing. Can we talk about the angry cats?
Oh yeah, they turn angry.
Yeah, so in every like section, and did the cats even come into play? I never figured it out. Or are they just there for show?
I don't know. I know you can pick them up when they're not angry.
Okay, so in any case, there's like the classic theme of adorableness in this game. But when you are wearing the cat suit, you come across this like patch of grass, and there's like 6 cats hanging out. And then they're like, oh, another cat. And they come up to you and start purring around you and start like nudging their head against you. But then when Bowser comes out, they get angry and fiery, and they get dark and they're mad and they attack you. And so they go from this adorable thing that you want to like hang around with. And I'm like, again, more screenshots and videos. I'm just laughing my ass off
Yep.
to this terrifying fire devil cat.
Yep. It's great. I love Bowser's Fury is really, really awesome. I think it's just, I hope they continue to experiment with Mario because like, I don't know how Mario continues to be fresh all the time. Like, every time they put out a game, it's pretty much always a banger. Even the worst Mario games and
still enjoyable.
Still like an 8 out of 10, you know, like I think New Super Mario Brothers, I would call is one of the worst Mario games, but I have a lot of fun doing that anyway. So like, whatever.
Now you brought up that you didn't get to be Mega Mario, but did you want to say what happens in Bowser's Fury?
Yeah. Well, you got to become like, live out your dream of being fighting a kaiju as Mario as a big giant cat.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I thought so. It was hilarious when it happened. And so you have to do it like basically beat the game. You have to do a set of times.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was like too slow. Like I was more frustrated with the movement of it, but the idea behind it was great. Like when we say big cat, like unless you've played the game, like we're talking like the world is huge. You are climbing castles. You turn into a cat that makes these castles look tiny. Like you are a massive Mario cat.
Yeah.
But it felt like those battles, while fun, were a little slower pace, like in terms of like my movement that I would have liked just a bit more freedom, but they were still enjoyable.
I agree. Like, I think they were really cool to do in theory. And like, I didn't have a terrible time, but I did get frustrated with the camera when I was big.
Oh, yeah. Because when Bowser's shell was spinning and you couldn't tell where it was coming from.
Yeah. I just felt like because in the regular 3D or Bowser's Fury, like I felt the camera control was really intuitive. But when I'm a big guy, I would always not know where Bowser's coming from and then get hit.
Yeah.
But then it was really easy to get another cat power up later. So like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. The number of times where I was like holding to turn my camera and it was so slow.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. But
last thing we'll talk about before we wrap up is you get to play as Bowser Jr. in Bowser's Fury, or if you play single player, you can just use Bowser Jr. to like unlock a few easy secrets and stuff like that. Did you play this 2-player?
We started because we were like, oh, great, it's multiplayer. It's bad.
I heard it's bad.
Because it's the same way Odyssey does it with the hat, where not the same way, it's better than that, but it doesn't expand the camera, it doesn't lock you, it just lets Bowser Jr. go and then like bubble back. And so it's very hard. Basically, the main first person is in full control, and the other person has to directly be a supporting role versus being a second person in the game helping you. So it didn't have the same feel as the main game when you're playing multiplayer.
Okay. Do you know if Bowser Jr. also gets the power-ups as well and the big cat power-up?
There were I don't know that. We didn't get that far because it was just not enjoyable as two people.
Yeah.
I don't believe it would though. I don't think Bowser Jr. didn't get any of the power-ups. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just collects them for you.
Oh, that's kind of lame. That does feel like classic Nintendo when they shoehorn a multiplayer in.
Well, that's how they did multiplayer in Odyssey, where it's like you get to control the hat, and it's like this hat does nothing. Like congratulations, it spins. Like
I remember when they added in Galaxy, the second person was just
isn't it just the grabber?
Yeah, this is the pointer. It's like wow, that person's super shafted.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That's a shame because it sounds like they really rarely get multiplayer right, and in 3D World as part of the same package, it sounds like they got it right.
Yeah.
And in Bowser's Fury, they didn't. So that is interesting. All right, so that is our talk on Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I was gonna say Bowser's Jr. Doug, you really liked the game. I really liked the game. I can't wait to play more of it. I play it basically one level every single night before bed. That's kind of how I play Mario games. I don't like to go too quick on them. I like to savor them.
Yeah.
But Doug, what is your rating of this game?
So do I rate each individually? Can I do that?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, you can tell me how many cat shines.
You said whatever scale I want.
Yeah, whatever scale you want. Let's hear it.
I'm gonna give Super Mario 3D World, that component, 8 green stars out of 10.
Okay.
and I'm going to give Bowser's Fury 8 cattails out of 10. I'm going to give them
Wow.
the same rankings now because I think there's difference. There's some better things in Bowser's Fury, but also some not as good things. So I think they're equal rankings, but for different reasons. I think they're both quite enjoyable, though.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I would give 55 cat shines out of 65 cat towers, cat lighthouses.
What even? I'm gonna pull up what percentage
I
that
don't
even
know.
is.
Let's not pay too close attention to that. You're doing it. You're
It's
doing it.
85%.
That's pretty good.
It's like what's the ratio of Shroot Bucks to Stanley Nichols?
Doug, would you put this in your like just a gut check here? Would you put this in your top 5 Mario games?
I think including including like Odysseys or just like the style of
Just general. Let's just go general gut check. Whereabouts would you put this?
it would be in my top 5. I think without question it's in the top 5. But sneaking into the top 3 is probably tough, but I'd say top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good Mario games out there. Yeah, it's really good though. So maybe it does make it.
It is like because I mean I'm just comparing to like I love Odyssey and like I don't care about the controls. I love Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Like I 100% of that playing with the 3D All Stars, and like those two will always be like some of the best games.
Yeah. I love Galaxy. I love Sunshine.
Galaxy's great
even though
too.
Sunshine's a big problem. I still fucking love it.
So I feel like you just said there's like 3 games. So you're going to say the same thing I just said.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so hard. Probably top 5. Probably top 5. Who knows? Doesn't matter. All right. That's the end of the show. Doug, thanks so much for being in the PodCavern and being on Talking Tongue. Do you have any plugs for the people at home?
We have recently watched the first season of Sinner on Netflix. Very dark, messed up show. I think season 3 just came out, which is why it's showing up as like new to watch. But we heard good things. If you're in for a very twisted, dark mystery drama, great first season. Each season it's its own thing. Sinner was very good, very intense though. Ooh. So you have to be ready to be like
emotionally
you watch like an episode and you're like exhausted.
Wow.
So I definitely recommend that. And I read Ready Player 2. I love Ready Player 1. It's a great, like it's a light read, nothing like crazy. You don't expect Shakespeare, but like really enjoyed it. It felt like the same type of how they progressed the story and whatnot. Really enjoyed the book. Quick read.
Cool.
It's good.
Awesome. Love it. For myself, you can find the rest of the shows in the PodCavern at www.podcavern.com. Check it all out. On March 20th, we have Cinema Saves the World. So if you can, we are raising money once again with Pull the Plug podcast. And this time we are raising money for Humane Canada, which protects all of our furry friends out there, as dogs, cats, all animals, from animal cruelty, trying to find good homes for these pets as well. So check out Cinema Saves the World. I'll have a link on our social media as well as podcavern.com. And if you donate, we're going to give out some pretty great prizes, including some dog treats delivered to your door or whoever. If you don't have a dog, send them to your neighbor's dog, send them to the Humane Society, wherever you want. It's up to you. And that's it for me. Doug, before we go, we need to hear your world famous catchphrase.
I don't have one. Go Leafs, go.
Bye, everyone.
That's a cop out.